This is the National Museum of the Marine Corps in Virginia. 450,000 people visit the museum every year, and it guides visitors through the American war history from the Revolutionary War to now. The museum has a Korean War gallery. It shows the crucial contribution of American soldiers during the Korean War. Nearly 1.8 million American soldiers served in the Korean War. But one particular exhibit catches our eye. She is a small mare that served in the Korean War, Sergeant Reckless.
I really enjoyed the display that the museum has here on Sergeant Reckless. I think that you realize that heroism comes in many forms. It's not just who you might expect that can exercise those heroic actions.
Reckless's heroic actions also resonate deeply with soldiers and Marines.
The story of Staff Sergeant Reckless is not one that can be made with just any one person, but it took a drive, for a Marine to subordinate themselves to a higher mission, orienting themselves towards the team effort. It's a testament to their ingenuity and their drive to get the mission accomplished.
There's also a statue of Reckless outside the museum, honoring the war horse. Statues dedicated to Reckless can be found in 6 locations across different states. And they are all by artist Jocelyn Russell. The artist was so inspired by the heroic mare's story that she has been creating statues of Reckless for over a decade.
I wanted to show her struggle as she was going up the hill. But I still wanted a soft eye, just determination that she was going to get to her men on the other side. When this project came up, I wanted to be the one to sculpt her because I thought that I would learn a lot about her, and I was interested in her story, and I could immerse myself in the story and hopefully bring her to life through that research and that study.
Get here early, like around 9, but the event starts at 10, so she'll at least be here.
A book on the story of Reckless has become a bestseller. What inspired this writer to write her story?
I discovered her story in a book called Sergeant Reckless, the Mighty Marine. I felt that her story was so compelling and so unique that it wouldn't let me go. But finally something happened and it was like, I gotta do this now.
Captivated by Reckless's story, this writer has gathered information and has interviewed people related to Reckless for 15 years. The more information she discovers, the more compelling Reckless's life becomes.
Her name in Korean was Achim Hai, which means flame in the morning, and that was because of the blaze she had down her forehead.
Achimhae served in the Korean War as a U.S. Marine, and the war horse became an honored war hero.
I was trying to get her in different things. Somehow, somebody at Cowboys and Indians magazine in Texas got a hold of this story and ran an article. And when it hit there, her story exploded.
American readers were captivated by the story of Reckless's life. And following the article, books on her heroic tale were published in quick succession. the special 1997 edition of Life magazine titled Celebrating Our Heroes, we find Reckless's name alongside other famous American heroes. Why were Americans fascinated by Reckless's story? We visited this person for some insight.
My name is Colonel Richard B. Rothwell, United States Marine Corps retired. I have one of the highlights of my life, of my career, was to be the commanding officer of the 5th Marine Regiment, a position held by my father previously. 5th Marine Regiment, as you'll hear in this discussion, was the Marine Corps unit that Reckless, this famous warhorse that we're talking about today, served.
Colonel Rothwell's father served in the Korean War. As a commanding officer of the 5th Marine Regiment, what was his story with Reckless?
He just mentioned that he had been the commander and had promoted this horse, Reckless, to Staff Sergeant E5. And he had a bit of a story. He said since it was a big deal for the regiment.
What was this fascinating story involving Reckless and the Korean War? The Korean War erupted in the pre-dawn hours of June 25, 1950. Seoul fell in just 3 days, and enemy lines had pushed as far as the Nakdong River.
When the crisis in Korea formed and we had this peninsula, this perimeter down at Busan, the 1st Marine Division was tasked with sending forces to stop that onslaught. 1st Marine Provisional Brigade, landing at Busan, arrived just in time to prevent disaster.
The Incheon landing in September 1950 reversed the tide of the war, and South Korean and UN forces began pushing north. South Korean and UN forces then pushed north past the 38th parallel, and it seemed like the war was about to end. But when the Chinese People's Volunteer Army entered the war, Allied forces were pushed back south past the 38th parallel, dragging out the war. A long and grueling battle followed, with territory continuously changing hands in a short period of time, earning the Korean War names like the Seesaw War.
The 5th Marines held a position that was astride the main road and a railroad that went back from the north down to Seoul, about 30 miles south. About 20% of their time was concerned with the Chinese, and the rest of it, the 80% of the time, was concerned with the weather and the complications that made for getting where they had to go. And he had his guns in all these high mountains, and they couldn't reach them by vehicle. So he had to man-pack his troops there to resupply their ammunition, their food.
The 5th Marine Regiment was an anti-tank company located in Yeoncheon County, Gyeonggi Province. Lieutenant Peterson faced the problem of transporting recoilless rifles over the rugged terrain. At the time, races were held at the Shinseol-dong racecourse.
Reckless was bred to be a racehorse. Kim Huk-moon, who ended up owning Reckless, and he was a jockey, and he loved to race. He was a young man when he met Reckless's mother, and he took care of her and fell in love with this horse.
Reckless's mother was a Jeju horse that had won numerous races. Kim Hyuk-moon bred the horse to continue the superior pedigree and named the foal Achimhae after its mother.
Reckless's mother had her. She died a couple of days later. He felt his greed of wanting to own a racehorse and make money off the racehorse killed his beloved horse, Reckless's mother.
형문아. 야, 형문아, 너 대체 언제까지? 너 대체 언제까지 그럴 거냐? 어? 봐봐. 쟤라도 잘 돌봐줘야 될 거 아니야. 네 마음 알아. 응? 그래도 산 사람은 살아야 하듯이 쟤라도 잘 돌봐주자. 응?
아침에 이리 와. 좋아. 좋아. 오라. 아주 영특해. 제 엄마를 쏙 빼닮았단 말이야. 이제 얼마 안 남았어. 첫 경주에 출전할 날이. 응?
But they never got to enter that first race. War erupted. Their home became a fierce battlefield, and they had to flee for their lives.
He traveled down to Busan after when the war started because it was very dangerous up in the Seoul area at that time. He went down, and I think he stayed with the people or near the people whose horse sired Reckless.
Our team used generative AI to recreate videos of Reckless and her life in Busan after leaving her home due to the war. At the time, Busan port served as a vital entry point for UN military equipment. And together with Achimhae, Hyuk-moon took on all the jobs he could to support his family.
She became a pack horse carrying rice from the fields to the ports. You know, he took such wonderful care of her that she didn't break down like the other horses who were doing similar jobs to her.
When Allied forces reclaimed Seoul, Hyuk-moon returned home and prepared to enter a race. Lieutenant Peterson of the 5th Marine Regiment came to Hyuk-moon in search of a horse that could carry military supplies.
Hello. Hello.
I'm Eric Peterson, United States Marine Corps. Is that your horse?
My friend horse. Can I help you?
We're looking for a horse to carry supplies. She's small, sturdy, just what we need.
야, 이 사람이 아침에를 팔라는데?
아침에 팔라고? 안 팝니다. 가세요.
No. No.
노. 노.
Sorry.
Please. The war. It's rough out there. We need a horse like her to carry vital supplies.
야, 청문아.
I'll offer you $250.
200?
$50.
야, 청문아. $250 준다는데?
안 돼. 너 아침에가 어떤 말인지 알면서도 그러냐?
그러지 말고 한 번만 더 생각해봐. 어? 그 돈이면 너네 누나 의족을 살 수 있어.
And the Korean said, I really don't want to sell this horse, but I need to buy a prosthesis for my sister who lost a leg in a landmine.
At the time, one could buy more than 6 sacks of rice with $250, and was the equivalent of 6 months' worth of a civil servant's wages.
Eric Pedersen paid $250 of his own money. When Eric Pedersen met her at Seoul, she was in really, nice shape of all the other horses that he met that day. And that was because Kim Hak-moon loved her and took such care of her.
Days ago. Can't wait to go back. Oh, you know what though? We're almost done. Good. Downstairs. It'll be in state. Man, I miss her. Can't wait to go back to San Diego. Just big B.
Your new partner's here.
Sir? A new partner? Where is he?
Here, your new teammate. As of today, she's part of our unit. She's gonna carry vital supplies.
This one, sir? A horse?
Horses get scared easy. I'm not sure she can adapt to a battlefield.
She's small, too. Are you sure she can even really handle one shell?
Make it work, soldier. That's your job. Train her.
Yes, sir.
When Reckless, or Achim Hai, came into the regimental headquarters, there was a lot of excitement within the recoilless rifle platoon. And I'm sure a number of those young Marines thought of her as a mascot or a pet or something like that. So when Marines first join the Marine Corps, they go through what is called boot camp. And the Marines there in the regiment put Reckless through what they called a hoof camp.
After being recruited by the 5th Marine Regiment, an anti-tank company, Achim-hae immediately started training. She learned how to get down and lie low when the enemy commenced fire, became familiar with the mountain terrain, and learned various other skills that were needed during battle. And over time, Achim-hae and the Marines built a strong sense of trust and unity.
In this type of environment, she became very close. And gradually it changed from a mascot or a pet, from a beast of burden to one of their own. And so the Marines named her.
Once she's taught something, she remembers it perfectly.
She carried 6 recoilless rifle rounds over the ridge. She's small, but incredibly tough.
She's brave, even reckless.
Reckless, huh? Okay. From now on, we'll call Achim-hae Reckless.
Reckless?
Reckless, you're a proud 4-legged Marine.
She was actually named after this gun. It's called a Reckless rifle. As one of my Marines said, it would cook a person because the back blast just came out, and the back blast would show the enemy where you were firing from.
A recoilless rifle was 180 centimeters long, and it took 2 soldiers to carry one.
They go on their first firing mission in December of '52, and it is said that the first time that she went up, she averaged about, I think, 6 rounds of carry on this one. The first time the gun went off, she had 6 rounds on her back, and she went off 6 feet up in the air and jumped and was just shaking and trying to get away. And again, he holds on to her. And that this happened several times. And she got it very, very quickly.
Reckless's duty was to endlessly transport recoilless rifles, each weighing 11 kilograms, across the battlefield and rugged terrain. In March 1953, a crucial battle took place to protect Seoul from falling into enemy hands. The battle for Outpost Vegas took place in and around Maehyeonri and Yeoncheon County, and UN troops had to defend their outpost. It was a strategically vital location called the Iron Triangle.
네바다 전초군 전투 같은 경우는 바로 옆에 판문점이 있는 지역이에요. 그래서 뺏기게 되면 중국군이 서울로 들어갈 수 있는 게 더 짧아지게 되는 거죠. 그러니까 한층 더 위협이 될 수 있는 지역인 거죠. 그리고 그 지역이 구릉들이 되게 많습니다. 그거를 뺏게 되면 단순하게 그 지역만을 뺏기는 게 되는 게 아니라 그 앞에 있는 구릉들까지 모두 뺏기게 될 수 있는 그런 상황이었기 때문에 그래서 그 네바다 전초군 지역들을 이제 유엔군들이 지키게 되었던 거죠.
Amidst the fierce battle, Reckless traveled back and forth through crossfire countless times a day, carrying the shells on her back. And in a single day, she carried 386 rounds of ammunition, amounting to almost 5 tons. Every moment was a matter of life and death, but she was there with her fellow Marines in battle.
Doing her duty, as she should as a Marine, by carrying her ammunition and her supplies up to the top of the mountains under heavy enemy fire, wounded twice, traveling over 35 miles that day. And so that's what really tightens the bond between the human and the horse.
The Battle of Outpost Vegas is said to be one of the bloodiest battles in the Korean War. But with Reckless's contribution, they were able to defend the crucial outposts.
I asked horse behaviorist Dr. Robert Miller how she could do what she did during the Battle of Outpost Vegas. And he said the Marines became her herd and she would follow them anywhere. So he said horses don't do what she did. They just don't do it. But she did. And that's what makes her so unique. And that's what makes her America's greatest war horse.
Reckless continued to carry out her duties until the Korean Armistice Agreement was signed, and in April of 1954, she was promoted. The Marines honored her and celebrated her promotion. She became the first animal to receive a Purple Heart, a medal awarded to service members who were wounded or killed in action. And she went on to receive 10 medals before she retired. How was she able to perform such heroic acts?
Korean half of her origin had a lot to do with that. She's just a special animal, and her training, her heritage, all of that came together and resulted in a very heroic performance.
I was trying to figure out what kind of breed she is, because when you look at her, she is a 13 hands pony. She looks like a quarter horse. We think she was a Hala horse, Jeju pony mixed with a thoroughbred, because that's the kind of horses they were racing in Korea.
Reckless's roots were in Jeju. And Jeju horses that are born and raised in this rocky volcanic terrain have evolved to adapt to Jeju's natural environment. They're sturdy and have great endurance. So, what genetic traits did Reckless inherit from Jeju horses? In size, Reckless is between a Jeju horse and a thoroughbred.
제주 순수한 제주말보다 좀 커요. 넥클스가. 어미말이 제주말인 건 확실합니다. 부마가 이제 제주말가 아닌 걸로 알고 있거든요. 제주말의 특징을 많이 이어받긴 한 것 같아요. 그래서 사람하고 굉장히 친밀했고, 또 성질이 아주 온순하고, 지구력이 강하고, 이거는 제주말 혈통을 받았다고 봐야죠.
Jeju horses have always been acknowledged as superior war horses. During the Joseon dynasty, under King Sejong's rule, they created a state-run ranch in an effort to breed quality war horses. Of Yi Song-gae's beloved 8 swift and superior horses, Sang-baek, a white horse, was the one he rode during the Wihwa-do retreat.
왜 제주마 응상백을 위화도 회군할 때 위생기장을 이용했느냐. 그 당시가 장마철이거든요. 질병이 발생할 우려가 높고, 거기서 기경까지 와야 되니까 지구력도 좋아야 되고, 이동도 편해야 되고, 또 성질도 온순해야 되고, 그래서 제주마의 특성하고 딱 맞아 떨어져요.
Jeju horses are known for their wild nature and strong survival instincts, and these horses have the strength to survive any season and weather condition. This resilience is what is embedded in Reckless's DNA.
1000년 정도의 제주마의 역사가 제주에는 있습니다. 적응이 안 되는 개체는 자연적으로 도태가 됐을 겁니다. 그래서 이제 사람은 제주마는 이제 질병 저항력도 강하고 자연 환경 적응력도 강한 발굽도 단단한 이런 개체만 남았기 때문에 뭐 전쟁이라든가 이런 힘든 일을 하는데 최적화된 게 아닌가 이렇게 생각을 합니다.
Encouraged, the world listened for news of the final signing that would mean ceasefire in Korea.
On July 27, 1953, they signed the Korean Armistice Agreement, and it was time for the Marines to say farewell to Reckless.
Signed 6 copies of the document which would end the bloodshed.
Marines started withdrawing from the peninsula. But Reckless could not go to America with them.
And there was a national outcry to the Department of Defense, to the Marine Corps, to whoever, to say, bring this horse home. She is a hero in America.
But there were people in positions, of administrative positions in the Washington area that said, no, you can't bring Reckless. Reckless is a horse, and we can't take horses. She doesn't even belong to the government. She belongs to Lieutenant Pedersen.
Lieutenant Colonel Andrew Gere, who had returned to America, told the world about Reckless's heroic performance through a magazine article. The public called for Reckless to be brought to America. And 4 months later, Reckless arrived, 20 days after she had departed from Korea.
The next day, the 10th of November, is the Marine Corps birthday. And that's a very special day for Marines, and they will get together on that day throughout the world. Part of that celebration is typically a very nice, formal birthday ball celebration. And the ball was held on the 9th floor of the ballroom. And the people there must have been surprised when the doors to the elevator vestibule opened, and out comes Reckless into this very formal ball. And she shared a piece of birthday cake with the celebrants, and then she went over to the head table and ate the flowers on the table. There's a picture of Reckless at the birthday ball in San Francisco on November 10th, 1953, eating the cake. And that's Mrs. Pedersen, the wife of the lieutenant who was the leader of that recoilless rifle platoon.
Reckless then started life at Camp Pendleton. Camp Pendleton is the headquarters of the 1st Marine Division that was part of crucial missions in the Korean War, such as the Incheon landing and recapture of Seoul. We can still find the horse stable where Reckless lived. Art DeGrazia was Reckless's primary caretaker 60 years ago.
She wasn't just a horse, she was a Marine. No other animal is going to get to experience what she did. And for me to meet an animal like that was very special. And I felt like I was in the presence of royalty there, because she just served so well for the Marines.
Reckless lived in these stables from 1954 through to 1968, cared for by her fellow Marines.
She loved to have those people around. They stayed for hours talking with her, visiting with her, and it was a great sight to see.
Marines who fought in the war were comforted by Reckless's presence. It was a peaceful sanctuary.
They would feed her and love on her and cry on her shoulder to say thank you, because they were so thankful that she survived and that she was here to where they could come and visit her. But it's the attachment that the retired Marines like that had with her throughout her entire life.
Debbie McCain grew up with Reckless as she was introduced to her through her father.
This is Reckless and myself when I was 7, and my father, who was the manager of the stables at the time.
Debbie McCain's father was also a Marine who served with Reckless in the Korean War.
I was about 6, and he says, we're going to go to California out at Camp Pendleton, and they have a war horse that was in Korea with me. And I said, what do you mean a war horse? And he says, she's 1 in a million, just like all of our Marines are. The only difference is she has 4 feet, where the Marines only have 2.
Debbie McCain's father was also a Marine who served with Reckless in the Korean War.
And she'd come up and wait very patiently at the fence there for me because she knew I was going to come and either brush her or give her carrots, or I was going to do something. We were always going to be kind to her and brush her and love on her, and that's all she wanted after being in the war.
Once she arrived in America after the war, Reckless enjoyed a peaceful life. In April 1957, 3 years after she arrived in America, wonderful news came in. Reckless gave birth to a horse just like her, which they named Fearless. And 2 months after that, Reckless was promoted to Staff Sergeant, lauded as one of America's greatest Marines. 6 years after she first set foot on American soil, she officially retired from the Marines.
At her official retirement, rather than giving her a pension, the Marine Corps gave her oats and board for life, so to speak, and remained until she died in the stables in 1968. So she was 20 years old when she died. Long, active, productive life.
True courage and sacrifice brought normalcy and peace. It was a precious gift that Reckless left behind.
It was like losing a family member at a funeral. She got caught up into some wire in the back, and they tried to save her. They gave her blood transfusions, and then they finally said, you know, we just can't save her.
A hero had passed, but her sacrifice and strong camaraderie remained in everyone's hearts.
You know, it's hard to put into words the emotion seeing them bury her for that one last time.
The Imjin River flows steadily through Baekakmyeon, Yeoncheon County, the site of the fierce battle for Outpost Vegas. When Korea gained independence, it was part of North Korea, but following the Korean War, part of the land was reclaimed as South Korean territory. If it wasn't for Reckless's heroic performance during the battle for Outpost Vegas, we would have lost this area to North Korea. Monuments honoring Reckless are scattered throughout the village. A small museum sits proudly in the center of the village, preserving the history of the village during the Korean War. Here, we also find details on Reckless.
레클레스 같은 군마가 이렇게 큰 활약을 해가지고 우리가 자유가 없는 38선 이북이었는데 지금은 남한 땅으로 찾아주는데 공을 세워주셨고 우리가 레클레스나 우리 6.25 참전용사나 유엔군들 이렇게 우리 수복시켜준 분들한테 감사하면서 살자 하면서 그런 선양 사업을 많이 합니다.
They run various projects in Baekakmyeon to honor and remember Sergeant Reckless. Reckless represents the village, and they have Reckless goods, cafes, and a farming cooperative that helps run it. This is how the people of Baekakmyeon who live at the site of one of the bloodiest battles commemorate the Korean War and Reckless.
우리가 너무 늦었지만 지금이라도 우리가 지금 이렇게 대우를 해주고 찾아서 은혜의 보답도 하고 길에 빛내야 된다 이렇게 생각을 합니다. 그게 우리의 좀 앞으로 살아야 할 뜻 있는 사람들의 숙명이고 사명이라고 생각을 해요.
Jeju is Reckless's hometown. How do the people of Jeju remember Reckless? Reckless returned to her hometown 57 years after she passed away. On October 26, 2024, they revealed a statue and celebrated the opening of her memorial hall. Here, we can find the story of the decorated war horse, Staff Sergeant Reckless. Traces of her are found in her hometown, and she is meaningful to those who come to see her.
마음이 좀 너무 감동이고요. 또 뭉클하기도 하고 또 우리가 사람이 할 수 없는 일을 또 했다는 그 말에 대해서 너무 감동입니다.
사실 인물은 기억되기 쉽지만 말은 잊혀지기 좀 쉬울 것 같은데 그런 멋진 일을 했다는 게 좀 멋있는 것 같아요.
A special group of people has come to visit Reckless. They are South Korean soldiers who served in the Korean War. They were at different battlefields, but they have come to visit a fellow soldier who risked their life for our country.
제주에서 싸울 때 우리는 바로 그 왼쪽에 장단중에 같은 시기에 싸웠어. 훌륭한 그 공적을 세웠으니 장하다 장해.
리코리스 고국 영웅 우리나라 전쟁 때 그렇게 힘든 일을 감당하느라고 애썼는데 너무너무 고맙고 감사하고 참으로 장하구나. 우리도 같은 전선에서 전우가 돼서 싸워주었으니 이 이상 또 영광은 없구나.
She's kind of a small horse, but boy, she carried a lot of weight. All those rounds of ammunition that she went back and forth with must have been just grueling, but she did it anyway. And she had a great heart.
Reckless, in my eyes, and also in America, she is recognized as a true hero. She just did what she did out of the love and respect that she had for her men, as our brother-in-arms do for each other. And so she will always be a hero.
When you pass something every day, it just becomes there. But my hope is, and I've seen it, that they come and read the story of Reckless on the plaques. I hope they get that image and that horse really was a Marine in the sense of carrying out a difficult mission under very extreme conditions.
And a strong sense of camaraderie to the men that you're serving, to want to help them and keep them alive. And if it hadn't been for this little red horse, there would be generations of families that would not be here today because of that. So families owe their children, their grandchildren, their great-grandchildren to that little red horse right there.
The Jeju horse Reckless was a true Marine and hero. The bravery, camaraderie, and the strength that Reckless showed to overcome all odds is kindred to the resilience and fighting spirit displayed by the Jeju people over thousands of years. This is why we should highlight and honor Reckless, a hidden hero of the Korean War.